I'm going to start recording. And welcome back. Today we are going to work in your student workbook on page 38. Earlier today, I posted some rounding videos for you to watch. We're switching our skill a little bit today. What you're going to notice is everything we've done from the beginning of the school year until now is going to be used today. You're going to have to read and write big numbers. You're going to have to figure out how to order numbers. You're going to have to identify place value. So you're going to see how everything's going to come together today. So we're going to quickly go over. I have to share my screen with you so you can see some anchor charts first. So the first one you're going to look at is very general. What is rounding? That's what we're focusing on today. Rounding is when the exact number is not needed. Rounding makes the number easier to understand and work with. We're going to practice this strategy first. We're going to use a number line to round. So on the first page, on page 38, we're going to do number one, letters A, C, and E. On each of those, we're going to be using these 4 steps to practice rounding. So we're going to draw a number line and label it with the 2 easy numbers that it falls between. Then we're going to label the halfway point. Third, we'll plot the number we're rounding. And then we'll decide which easy number is our original number closest to. Okay, so we're going to start right here. Number 1, Sophia, can you go ahead and read the directions for us?
It says, round to the nearest 1,000. Use the number line to model your thinking.
Okay, so the most important thing in rounding problems is to remember to pay attention to what you're rounding to. So for letter A, we have the number 6,700. When we're rounding to the nearest 1,000, we want to first identify the thousands place. So I'm going to underline the 6. Then I need to label my number line with the 2 easy numbers. So the smaller numbers always going to be, it's always going to, it's always going to include what you've underlined and anything before that. So our lower number is going to be 6,000. And then just like yesterday, whenever we were increasing and decreasing numbers by thousands, 10,000s, or 100,000s, we're going to go to the next 1,000. So after 6,000, if you're counting by thousands, 7,000 would be your next 1,000. So these are the 2 easy numbers. Your original number needs to fall between those 2 easy numbers. So now that we've labeled those, now we have to figure out what's in the middle. So you want to think halfway between 6,000 and 7,000 would be 6,500. So that's what we'll label your halfway point. Now that we've done your labeling, we're going to look at what we're rounding, 6,700, and estimate where that would be on this number line. So I know it's bigger than 6,000. I know it's bigger than 6,500, but it's smaller than 700. So I would estimate that to be 6,500, 6,600, about here. And then I would label that 6,700. Now I'll look. Is this point that I've plotted closer to 7,000 or 6,000? This distance is much shorter, so I would round up. So 6,700 rounded to the nearest 1,000 is 7,000. Okay, let's try the next one. You guys can help me with this one. Now we have 16,401. We're still rounding to the nearest 1,000. So who can tell me, and if you know, you can just unmute yourself, what you're underlining? Which digits in the thousands place?
The 6.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have to label our number line with our two easy numbers. So the 6 and anything before that will stay the same, and everything else turns to what? They turn to zeros. So our first easy number is 16,000. Since we're rounding to the nearest thousand, now, just like yesterday, whenever we identified the place and we made it bigger or smaller, what would our next thousand be? If we were counting out $1,000 bills, we got to 16,000. What comes next? How many thousands?
17,000.
17,000. Very good. Now I have to figure out what comes in the middle. So what's halfway between 16,000 and 17,000? I'll give you a hint. It's going to start with 16 because we're counting up. So what's half of 1,000? That's how many?
16,500.
Very good. So here's our halfway point, 16,500. Now we have to estimate where this number is going to go. Is it bigger or smaller than 16,000? 16,401. Bigger or smaller than 16,000?
Bigger.
Bigger or smaller than 16,500?
Smaller.
So we'll estimate it to be about right here, 16,401. Now, is 16,401 closer to 16,000 or closer to 17,000?
16,000.
So we're going to round down. So then up here on your line, you'll write what we rounded to, which is 16,000. Any questions so far? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Now we have a bigger number, 399,499. So we're still rounding to the nearest thousand. So we're going to look for the digit in the thousands place, which is right here, this 9. So the closest thousand to 399,499 is what we're looking for. So now we have to figure out our two easy numbers. Does anyone think they know how we could label this number line?
$399,000.
Okay, so that's going to be down here. Good job, Nina. I did this earlier too. I kept writing 339. 399,000 is our low number. And if we count up 1,000, Tyler, what's our next thousand after 399,000? What comes after?
40,000?
Not 40, you're in the tens place. We're in the hundreds. So if you're counting, what comes after 399?
400,000.
Yep. Now we have to see halfway. So we're going to keep this number the same because we know we're counting up from there. What's halfway between 399,000 and 400,000? So think again, there's 1,000 between the two. So what's half of 1,000?
500.
Yep. So we have 399,500 in the middle. So now we have to think, where's this number going to go? Is 399,499 bigger or smaller than 399,000? Tyler? Do you know? Is this number bigger or smaller than this number? But they both
Bigger.
start with 300. Good. They both have 399 as their beginning. but 499 is bigger than
They have a
0.
different end.
What about 399,500? Bigger or smaller?
Bigger.
Look closely. Here's a 5. Here's a 4. What's bigger, 500s or 400s?
500s?
Right, but it's super close. It's at 499. So we're going to put it right underneath that tick mark. I'm actually going to write it on the other side so it's not too crammed. 399,499. So anything underneath this dash is going to be rounded down. Anything touching the dash or above will round up. So we're going to round this number down to 399,000. $399,000. Okay, now we're going to flip to page 39. 39, and we're going to look at number 3. We're going to zoom out a little, put this into some real life problems now. Mrs. Smith's class is learning about healthy eating habits. The students learned that the average child should consume. What's that mean? Consume. What's that word mean?
Eat.
It means to eat about 12,000 calories each week. And calories are the thing that make up food. So food, even your drinks, have calories in them. Carrie consumed 12,748 calories last week. Tyler consumed 11,702 calories last week. Round to the nearest 1,000 to find who consumed closer to the recommended number of calories. Use pictures, numbers, or words to explain. So if you have a highlighter handy, we're going to use it. If not, just go ahead and underline. We are going to say what is important. So average child should consume about 12,000 calories each week. Carrie consumed 12,748 calories. Tyler consumed 11,702 calories. Round to nearest 1,000, find who consumed closer to recommended number. So now we need to round both of these students' calories to the nearest 1,000. So let's start with Carrie. So here's going to be our picture. We're going to write Carrie and draw her number line. So Carrie consumed 12,748 calories. Which of those digits is in the thousands place? The 2 is in the thousands place. So you're going to underline that 2. Now we need to find our 2 easy numbers to label our number line with. So if I find the 1,000 closest to 12,748 calories, if I round down, it would be 12,000. If I'm looking for the next closest 1,000, if I add 1,000 to this, I would be at 13,000. Who remembers what I have to do next after I have my 2 easier numbers? Remember, if you know, you can just unmute yourself and tell me.
You do half of what the.
We find our halfway point.
Yeah.
Sophia, do you know what's halfway between 12,000 and 13,000?
12,500.
Very good. Who knows what I do next? What's my next step? Now I need to figure out where 12,748 goes on my number line. So I know it's bigger than 12,000. It's bigger than 12,500 because I have 700s here. But it's smaller than 13,000. So I'm going to estimate about 12,600, about 12,700 would be right about here. So I'm going to write 12,748 calories. Who can tell me what I would round Carrie's calories to? Do I round up to 13,000 or down to 12,000?
Up to 13,000.
Yep, it's closer. So Carrie, we're going to put those two wavy equal signs. She's closer to 13,000 calories. Hi, Bella. I didn't see you snuck in. How are you? Good to see you.
Hi.
Wow, this is a special day. This is our first day ever. We've had everyone at our Zoom meeting. So I should play that lottery number, 1013. Good day. Okay, now we're going to move on to Tyler. We're going to write Tyler's name. We're going to draw another number line. So now we're going to focus on this number, 11,702. Which of those digits is in the thousands place? Right here, our second one is in the thousands place. So now I need to put my two easy numbers. What are my two easy numbers that are close to 11,702? What are my two closest numbers in the thousands place?
12,000.
Nina, would 12,000 go as my top number or my bottom number?
Your top number.
So if I round up, I would round up to 12,000. So Nina, if I take away 1,000, what would be my low number?
11,000.
Very good. Now I need to find my middle. What's between 11,000 and 12,000?
11,500.
Very good. Okay, now I have to figure out where would 11,702 fall on my number line. I know 11,700 is bigger than 11,000. Here I only have 500, so I know it's bigger than that. So I'm going to estimate again. Right here would be about 11,600. I'm going to put 11,702 right here almost in the middle. Now I have to figure out, is it closer to 12,000 or 11,000?
12,000.
So I'm going to round up. So Tyler is about 12,000 calories. So then I have to answer my question. Who consumed closer to the recommended number of calories? So look back, see what the recommended number was. And I'm going to put everyone on my screen. I want to see a vote. If you think Carrie is closer to the recommended calories, raise your hand. If you think Tyler is closer to the recommended calories, raise your hand. What do you think, Trace? Do you think Carrie or Tyler is closer?
Carrie.
Look back in the story, Trace. What is the recommended amount of calories?
12,000.
Okay. About how many calories did Carrie consume?
13,000. 13,000.
Yep, and about how many did Tyler consume?
12,000.
So which one of those is closer to 12,000? 13,000 or 12,000?
12,000.
Right, so we're going to put something around Tyler so we know Tyler's the answer. He was closer to the recommended amount of calories. Okay, I'm going to make you guys big again so I can see everyone. Okay, so we have done page 38, page 39. So far, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So now we're going to move on to page 42. Flip to page 42. We're going to skip over a little. On page 42, we're going to do just number 1, A, B, and C. This time, they've changed the place value on us. So that's super important. So for number 1, it says 53,000 rounded to the nearest 10,000. So I'm going to highlight nearest 10,000. So this time I need to identify what's in the 10,000s place. So I'm going to underline my 5. Now I have to think, when I'm counting by 10,000s, I have 10,000, 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. I have to find my 2 easy numbers based on the 10,000 now. So if I round down, I'd be going to 50,000. And if I add a 10,000, I would be at 60,000. Now I have to figure out what's in the middle. So instead of there only being 1,000 between these two, I have 10,000 in between my 2 easy numbers. Who knows what half of 10,000 is? If we win the lottery and we won $10,000, but we have to split it in
5,000.
half. Yep. So now we're going to add 5,000 to this number. So our halfway point is 55,000. So the same process as before. We look back at our original problem, 53,000. We have to figure out where it goes. It's bigger than 50,000, but smaller than 55. So I'm going to put it about there. Now we have to round to what it's closest to. So since it's under my halfway point, I'm going to round down. So 53,000 rounded to the nearest 10,000 is 50,000. Okay, now I'm going to have you guys help me with the next 2. Peyton, want to help me with letter B?
Hey, which page are you on?
We're on page 42.
Oh,
Number
Same
1,
as
letter
Johnny.
B. Okay, Peyton, go ahead and read letter B, honey. I don't think you're unmuted, dear. Well, we have Olivia. Go ahead and you try reading it while Peyton tries to get his volume to work.
42,708 rounded to the nearest 10 is
Okay, so this time we're going 10,000 again. So now, Olivia, which digit do I need to underline?
the 2,
Is the 2 in the 10,000s place?
the 4,
The 4. So now, Olivia, what are my 2 closest 10,000s?
40,000 and 50,000.
Nice job. Olivia, do you know what comes in between the 2?
45,000.
Very good. Sound confident. You're correct. Nice job. Okay, Olivia, do you remember what we do now that we have our number line labeled?
We look for 42,708 in the number line. I mean,
Is it going to be higher or lower than this spot?
higher,
Higher or lower than 45,000?
lower.
Good. We'll estimate it about right there. Now we're going to write that on the point, 42,708. And then where will we round this number to, Olivia? 40,000 or 50,000?
40,000.
Great job. So I draw my arrow down to 40,000 and then I put my answer on the line. Bella, would you like to help me with the next one?
Sure.
Okay, can you read it for us, please?
Um, 4,600.
Hold on, honey. Remember, chunk these three together. How do you read 406?
406,823.
Very good. Round it to the nearest 10,000. So we're going to highlight nearest 10,000. And then below, what digit am I going to underline? What's in the 10,000s place?
The 0.
Yep. Okay, now this one is tricky because we have to figure out what our two closest 10,000s are. So I'm going to keep my 4 and my 0 the same, and then I'm going to turn everything else to zeros. That's going to help me in the 400,000s, my lower 10,000. And if I increase this by 10,000, what would my next number be? So just like yesterday when we were changing things, if we change the 10,000s place and we increase it by 1, what would our next number be?
450,000.
That would be if I increased it by 5. Here's my 10,000s place, and I just want to increase it by 1 10,000. So my 0 would turn from a 0 to a what?
A 1.
Yep. So my 4 and my 1, and the rest turn to zeros. So my two easy numbers are 400,000 and 410,000.
But when you go,
So what comes in between those two?
the security will stop you when you go to pull in.
What would be our middle number?
Face-to-face appointment for 2 o'clock, and then they'll tell you.
So there's 10,000 between these. What's half of 10,000? Half of 10,000 is 5,000. So it would be 405,000. Now we have to figure out where 406,823 goes on the number line. It's bigger than 400,000. This one's bigger than 405,000. So 406,000 would be about there. So we're going to go ahead and plot that point. Which of our easy numbers is that closest to? 400,000 or 410,000?
410,000.
So we're going to round this one up. Very good. 410,000. Okay, those are the questions that we're going to use a number line to help us solve. Now I'm going to pull up this anchor chart Now we're going to use a poem to round the rest. And there's many different versions of this poem. For this example, we're going to round 1,237 to the nearest hundred. So you're going to find your place, look next door, 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or less, give it a rest. The numbers in the front stay the same. Numbers behind turn to 0. So for this example, when we were rounding to the nearest hundred, I found my place, which is the 2, so I underlined it. I look next door. I draw my arrow, always to the neighbor to the right. That's our boss. He tells us what to do. 5 or more, add 1 more. 3 is less than 5, so I will not do that step. 4 or less, give it a rest. It is less than 4, so when you're resting, you're not moving. So the 2 doesn't move, it stays the same. Down here, numbers in front stay the same, so the 1 stays the same. Numbers behind the underlined digit go to zeros. So it's 1,237 rounded to the nearest hundred is 1,200. So we're going to use that strategy to practice a couple more problems. Now I want you to turn to page 46. On page 46, we're going to do number 1. We're going to round to the nearest 1,000. So I'm going to highlight 1,000 because it stays the same for every problem here. So in 5,300, I find my place. The 5's in the thousands place. Look next door. That's my boss, the 3. 5 or more, add 1 more. It's not 5 or more. So then I move on to the second half of the poem. 4 or less, give it a rest. 3 is less than 4, so my 5 is resting. And everything else turns to zeros. Let's see. Okay, Trace, ready to help me with letter B? Okay, read letter B for us.
4,589.
Okay, Trace, find your place. What do I underline?
The 4,000.
The 4, very good. Look next door. What do I draw the arrow to?
The 5.
Is that 5 or more or 4 or less?
5 or more.
So I'm going to add 1 more. So my 4 turns to a what if I add 1 more?
A 5.
And the rest of the numbers turn to?
Turn into 0.
Great job. So that number rounded is 5,000. Okay, Nina, can you help me with letter C?
So
Good, read the number to us.
you would 42,099.
Okay, I'm going to recite the poem. You tell me what to do. Find your place.
So
What page is this?
46.
46.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, Nina, which digits in my thousands place?
2. The digit.
I'm going to
7.
underline the 2. I look next door. What am I going to draw the arrow to?
The hundreds place.
I'm going to draw it to the 0. Is that 5 or more or 4 or less?
4 or less. It's 0.
That means I'm going to rest. So this number before my underline stays the same. Since I'm resting, the 2 stays the same. What happens to everything else, Nina?
They all turn into zeros.
So 42,099 rounded to the nearest thousand is 42,000. That's our closest thousand. Okay, Sarah, can you help me with letter D? When you're ready, go ahead and unmute yourself and read letter D for us.
$801,504.
Okay, find your place. What should I do? What should I underline, Sarah?
The 1.
Yep, that's the thousands place. I look next door. What do I do now?
Draw an arrow to the 5.
What does the 5 tell us to do? Five or more, add one more. So that means this 1, I'm going to add to it, so that becomes a 2. But I can't forget about the 8 and the 0. So I'm going to write those down first. And I've changed my 1 to a 2, and the rest turn to zeros. So 801,504 rounded to the nearest thousand is 802,000. So now we have to put into words what we did. So we're going to write exactly what we did for our explanation. I underlined the 1 in the thousands place. The 5 next door tells me to round up. So I kept the 8 and 0 the same and added 1 to the 1. My rounded number is 802,000. I know it's not always where you have to write sentences in math, but it is important too for you to be able to explain what you did. I'm going to leave that up here for a minute for those of you who are still copying. And then we're going to try one more together. The next example that we're going to do together is an example of how you have one number and you're going to round it to multiple place values. So when you're finished with this on page 46, I want you to turn to page 50. And we're going to complete number 1 on page 50. So we have to round 453,982 to the following. So since we're rounding the same number to 3 different place values, I don't want to use this to do my work. So I'm going to write the same number off to the side. So to start, I'm going to round to the nearest 1,000. So I'm going to find my place, the thousands place, look next door. 5 or more, add 1 more. This is 5 or more, so I'm going to add 1 more to my 3. The numbers in front stay the same, and everything else turns to 0. So when I round 543,982 to the nearest 1,000, I get 544,000. You guys good? Okay, now the next one, we're rounding to the 10,000s place. So we're going to rewrite that same original number, but the difference is now when we find our place, we're going to find the 10,000s place. So I'm going to find my place in the 10,000s, look next door, 5 or more, add 1 more. 4 or less, give it a rest. 3 is less than 4, so this is going to rest. Stays the same. Everything before it stays the same, and everything after turns to zeros. So when I round this number to the nearest 10,000, I get 540,000. Okay, we have 1 more. Now we have to round 543,982 to the nearest 100,000. So now I'm going to underline the digit in my 100,000s place. I'm going to look next door. 5 or more, nope. So I'm not adding 1 more. 4 or less, yes, I'm giving a rest. So my 5 stays the same as it's resting, and everything else turns to zeros. So when I round to the nearest 100,000, I'm rounding to 500,000. So it's really up to you which strategy you like better. Would you rather use the number line because you like to have that visual? That's fine. If you like the poem, that's fine also. It's really up to your preference unless it tells you what you have to do. So on your practice problems for today, you can choose the method that you prefer. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to